You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You lost all your money in the crash of '08, but come on and sit down, everything will be great. Yeah, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. The year was 2008, summertime, and the financial markets had gone to shit. Me and my boy Craig were looking for a watering hole in which to drown our sorrows. So we hopped on the metro and took it to a part of downtown Bethesda I'd never been to before. After walking a few blocks, we came across an old ramshackle building with a big flashing neon sign out front that said, Pattie Farrell's Restaurant, no reservations required. As we stepped onto the front porch, we heard music squawking out of one of those old-timey speakers that was hung above the front door. It was a happy little tune. It went something like this. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You lost all your money in the crash of '08, but come on and sit down, we'll run your credit right away. Oh, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. So Craig and I strolled into the restaurant and were escorted to a booth near the jukebox, and we sat down. A waiter came sauntering over carrying a couple of menus and a glass of water for each of us. As he approached the table, I could see he was wearing a name tag. It said, "Hi, my name is Trevor." And underneath that, he was wearing a big button with little flashing lights around it that said, "I've never met a broker I didn't like." Well, Trevor put the menu down on the table and asked us whether or not we'd like to hear the specials of the day. We nodded yes. The drink of the day, Trevor expounded, is the Bloody Mary Miles, extra spicy. Our appetizer for this afternoon is a baked Freddie Mac and cheese with a side of Catherine Brown rice. Our entrees include a Sloppy Joe step chuck and a nice glazed Mimi Smithfield ham. For dessert, a nice assortment of Fannie Mae candies, both nuts and chews. Well, that all sounded pretty good to me. I asked Trevor if he could bring a wine list to the table, and as he trotted off towards the kitchen, I could swear I heard him humming under his breath. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You lost all your money in the crash of '08, but come on and sit down, you'll get a great interest rate. Oh, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. Well, Trevor returned shortly with the wine list. Not being very hungry, Craig ordered a Ray Miller Light and a spinach salad with Linda French dressing on the side. I decided on the Sloppy Joe step chuck and a nice slice of Sara Lee Garner cheesecake for dessert. I asked if I could get a side of Ronald coleslaw instead of the Trisha Rice that came with the meal. In what I thought was a bit of a condescending tone, Trevor advised me that substitutions to the menu were not allowed unless I spent at least $10 million on the meal. Well, that got my dander up. Then I asked him whether or not he would make an exception. Well, Trevor smiled and said he would go check with the executive chef, one Vincente Toye, and ask if he would make an exception given I was such a good customer. Of course, that was my first time at the restaurant, but I shrugged my shoulders and nodded, and off he went. I noticed on the back of his shirt there was a phrase, the restaurant's motto, I think it was, which gave me hope my request would be granted. The motto read, You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You lost all your money in the crash of '08, but come on in, sit down, we will lend in any state. Oh, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. While waiting for Trevor to return, I scanned the wine list and noticed a nice bottle of red from the Senya wine region of Russia. It was an older vintage, 25-year ale. The wine notes read has attractive notes of ripe berries and PCBs on the nose, with fine tannins infused with radon and a nice smooth oaky polybutylene piping finish. Sounded good to me. After deciding on the wine, I scanned the rest of the restaurant and noticed that the jukebox was playing one of my favorite tunes. It was Sister Christian Adrian, my son, don't you know that you're the only one to say rates are gonna drop today? But I digress. Trevor finally returned with the good news that I could substitute the rice for the slaw, but that there would be a 3 basis point adder to my check. I begrudgingly agreed. After our meal, I asked Trevor if I could get a meal to go. You see, I don't cook very much, and I figured I'd better go ahead and stock up while I was there. But given the hubbub I had caused with the slaw, I was a little hesitant to ask. But as an old friend of mine used to say, you don't ask, you don't get. So I took a deep breath, and I asked for the Pattie's Happy Meal deal, the $50 million of non-recourse unsecured leveraged debt, a side of 2 years of IO with a spring escrow and a below-market cap. I would hold the survey, the reserves, and the carved-out guarantees. And don't forget the pickle. They always forget the pickle. Anyway, I knew I was asking a lot, to tell by the beads of perspiration that had popped out on Trevor's brow as he wrote down my order that I had probably crossed the line. But you know, competition is fierce in the food services industry, so I thought I had a pretty good chance. Well, about a week and a half later, Trevor finally returned with a doggy bag with everything I had asked for. Except by then I was no longer really that hungry. Interest rates had gone up, and well, poor Craig had fallen asleep at the table and was muttering something about the service being slower than a herd of turtles plowing through a mud puddle in the middle of a Texas thunderstorm. So I paid the check and gave Trevor his tip. 20 basis points was standard, but I had to add an extra 5 for his broker pal. And we left the restaurant with Pattie's Happy Meal deal under my arm full of financing goodies, and Craig bringing up the rear. I couldn't help but sing at the top of my lungs. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You lost all your money in the crash of '08, but I got a loan with no maturity date. Hey, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. Everybody, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant. You lost all your money in the crash of '08. I'm running out of lyrics and it's getting kind of late. Oh, you can get anything you want at Pattie Farrell's restaurant.